Hi, I wanted to welcome you to the Divorce Planning Podcast. I'm Carri Goldring, and I'm in the mortgage business, and I do planning pre-divorce for people who are either going to refinance their home, do an equity buyout, or plan to purchase a new home and make sure that everything in the divorce decree is worded properly and the numbers in the planning is taken care of so that you can go through the underwriting process smoothly. And I would like to introduce you to other people who are interested in the divorce planning process so you can get a real education of what's involved. Hope you enjoy.
Hi, today I have a unique guest with me named Raye Host. And what makes Raye unique is we had started talking when she was going through the divorce process and working towards purchasing a home. And then she ended up doing something really incredible with her divorce experience on helping other people. And we have stayed in touch. And I really want her to explain how all that worked for you. So I want to start with you were talking to your financial planner. And she suggested that you talk to someone who specializes in divorce mortgage. And what
Yeah.
was your first reaction to that?
So I had never heard of that before, that someone would specialize in that field. So that was surprising to me.
And then you probably wondered, like, what could I do different as opposed to someone else, right?
Exactly.
And so can you explain to people who are wondering the same thing, what was different or what you learned?
When I met Carri, she was helping me, like she said, through that process. And she immediately came up with some really innovative ideas that I had never heard of before. So there were different ways for someone that had been in a situation where maybe they hadn't been working for a while. In my situation, there was financial abuse going on, so I didn't have access to funds, and I had been taking care of the children, and not working full time for a long time. So I didn't think I was going to be able to qualify for any sort of mortgage or anything like that. And she had some really innovative ideas, or you did, Carri. You had some really innovative ideas that I had never thought of and really made a lot of things possible
Good.
that I didn't think would be possible.
And I don't think your attorney had ever worked with a divorce mortgage planner before either.
Exactly, right. So she was definitely taking care of me legal wise. Julie Quick was taking care of me financial wise, but then this was a whole new ball game as far as those really innovative ideas that you had and those possibilities that you have for homemakers or moms or people that are getting out of abusive relationships that can really possibly get a mortgage.
Good. And then light at the end of the tunnel in terms of you, obviously you figured out your finances and you were able to get things going. So give people some hope there because there's a lot of people in your shoes.
Oh my goodness, yeah. So I am so grateful for that team of powerful women that I had helping me through navigate through this time. And I couldn't have done it without all of you. And so taking me through that time got me the divorce terms that were good for me, financial planning, so I knew where I was and where I needed to go. And then Carri was there, you were there to help me with those really interesting options as far as setting up a trust with a divorce settlement, setting up a trust and then paying myself in monthly installments so I could count that as income and qualify for a mortgage. I didn't end up getting a mortgage at that time. That was the time in the market when all the house prices were really, really high. And so I had a little one to think of, and I wanted to keep him in his school district. And so I had a limited area of real estate that I wanted to find a place in. And so I ended up going with a rental house.
Right.
But still, all of those pieces coming together to allow me to do that, I was super grateful for all of your help.
I'm so glad. And we are eventually getting you into a home.
Exactly.
We're
Right.
almost there.
Mhm.
Almost there. And then you started helping other people through
Yes.
the divorce process since
Yeah.
so tell me about your newest passion.
So I was in a narcissistically abusive marriage with what would be called a covert narcissist. And I like to say it as um, people with high narcissism in their personality, because I don't want to just slap a label on people. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not diagnosing someone. I'm just saying that this was the pattern that I was living in. And in a covertly narcissistic relationship, everything looks one way when you start out, and then things change and they get worse and worse and worse as you go on. And so, people in these kind of situations, they often have a lot of guilt. Well, what did I get myself into? I made these choices myself. But the truth is, at the beginning, things did not look that way, and people would not have made those same choices had they known what they were getting into. So usually that's a big process in someone's life, just realizing what's going on, dealing with the grief over the relationship. There's a sometimes quite a process that can take you from being in the relationship to being out of the relationship, being in my freedom house, like I like to call it. And so what you can do is have that team assembled and escape. And then what I did was I wanted to bring a community to people that were going through that same thing, and a process of how to navigate that, and really have the support of the community to help navigate you through. And so I started a meetup group called Narcissistic Abuse Survivors and Thrivers. And then I also took over a group of a associate of mine who had a similar group. So now I have two groups online, but you can find it on Meetup under Narcissistic Abuse Survivors and Thrivers. And we do have such a fantastic community there that we get together virtually every other Monday for a community support circle. And I feel that I'm the organizer of the group, but there's so much value and so much that each of the community members can bring to the table that it's more of a collaborative community type of support group. And I feel like that's super valuable to people, and they're always telling me how valuable that is. But I
I
feel like one of the greatest things I've done in that group too was when I brought you, Carrie, and the other members of my navigating divorce team together for the divorce summit. So
we had
Julie
fun.
was there, yeah, and you were there, and Sarah Cream, my attorney, was there. And so there are a lot of people in that group that really are going through that same thing, and they need those voices, and they need to know that those options are out there.
Right, because you
Yeah,
start to second guess yourself, right? Like you don't believe that you could be in this situation and somebody
right.
tries to gaslight you for a better explanation, and then you don't know what you're doing and you don't know if it's your fault and you don't know how to get out and you feel so trapped. And it's so nice that you created this community of people that can help other people who really they need a support group, and I don't think anyone understands unless you've been in those shoes.
It's absolutely true. And especially with narcissistic abuse and the gaslighting, like you were talking about, um, and questioning your reality, it's really a thing where if you haven't been through that, it's really hard to understand the extent to which that degrades your self esteem, your ability to navigate situations. It's all about, making you distrust yourself, and then making you distrust your decisions, making you distrust others. And yeah, it puts you in a real disempowered place. And so that's why I started that group, so that we can come together, and there's safety and strength in numbers, right?
Right. And other
And
people just saying you can do this or that happened to me, so you don't feel that you're alone.
mhm,
Right. I think it's one
absolutely.
of the hardest things to get out of because you talk to people who don't know better and it sounds ridiculous.
Yes. Yeah, it can sound ridiculous because them not having experienced it, it is a whole different reality.
The
It is a
concept
whole
that I don't think a normal person can understand it.
I agree. If you haven't been through it, it's true. And one of the focuses of the group is really empowering people because there is a point in the process where yes, you need to learn all about narcissistic abuse and so you can come to terms with what you're experiencing and kind of see the truth in the situation rather than the truth that this other person is trying to convince you is true,
Right.
and so that you can navigate out of it. But it's not a group where we sit and talk about all of the horrible things. I mean, there is space for that if someone needs to get that off their chest and speak their truth. Of course, that's part of the healing process as well. But after that, a lot of the focus of the group is moving people forward. And so, not focusing on the past and everything that's happened to us and getting stuck in the, all of the YouTube channels that'll take you down a rabbit hole where you're constantly thinking about what happened.
That's a
Yeah.
super positive thing because you're not dragging other people down, but you're helping lift them up and move forward and become
Yeah.
independent. And you have done so remarkable with everything that you've been through in such a short time period that every time I talk to you, I just beam with proudness.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your help. Of course.
You are doing so unbelievable. It's so, and the fact that you like turned it around to do something great for so many other people is amazing. And
Yeah,
I'm sure you feel healed by it too. I'm sure it's done a lot for you.
I do. It really, you're right. It really lifts my spirits every time we have our support circle like we just did last night. And people have, they speak to their positive experience just by being in community with people that have been through the same thing that they have. And then I like to encourage people just with their little baby steps, like every tiny little baby step that they take towards, understanding what they're going through, understanding what their options are. And that's where professionals like you come in, and just understanding that every step that they take, every moment that they bring themselves into presence, those are their most powerful times. And those are going to add up to them being able to craft the life of their dreams. Because the biggest thing that we need to do is bring our presence back to our bodies.
Coach.
And, and we can heal emotionally, physically, and energetically from these traumas that we experience. But if we leave out any of those forms of healing, it can really slow us down and drag us down and keep us stuck. And so during that transition period that I was going through over all those years, like maybe 2 to 4 years, I also went back to school and got a certificate in consciousness transformation and mindfulness, and studied coaching as well. And so I'm also a transformational coach for people who have um, suffered from narcissistic abuse of any kind.
You're
And
amazing.
I was actually, Carrie, just thinking today that I might further um, define my niche as people who are going through the divorce or who have just gotten over the divorce, because sometimes there's so much going on during the divorce process. It's hard to have a huge presence of healing at that same time.
Right. So
Although
much
it's
emotion.
definitely possible a little bit before and during, you can do that. But then also some people just want to put the pieces together afterwards, and that's a great time to heal yourself holistically as well.
Right. 'Cause I hear a lot of people saying there's so much coming at them regarding the finances and the housing and the children and the visitation and the
Mhm.
income. They can't handle one more thing. They're literally
Right.
in survival mode. So
There's
for
just a
you
lot
to
to do, like time wise too. There's a lot of
there's
tasks for you to take.
and it's a lot of things that you're not a specialist in, which is
Right.
why having that tribe of people that you can support from are so important. Or even, I have support people that I could refer, and Julie has support people, and so does Sarah. So
Hmm.
if needed, our outreach, for whatever comes up, like needing the trust or whatnot, is just huge. The people that we know that can be helpful and understanding
Right.
is just a big factor. But I think if you did that, that would be amazing. And I think people post-divorce would be ready,
Right.
like next, that, okay, I tackled this, which would be humongous. And then the
Hmm.
next step is figuring out, how to be healthy for your next relationship, right? Whatever that might
Absolutely.
look like.
And that's what I focus on is helping people heal holistically so that they can trust themselves again and have that healthy future relationship. At the same time, so I agree with what you're saying. Like after the divorce is kind of a time for that deep healing work. However, there's so many tools that we can use. Um,
During.
Little micro practices, yeah,
Mhm.
during the times that we are going through those tumultuous times in our life. Just little micro practices that maybe have to do with a little bit of breath work, some meditation, some body awareness, some somatic things that we can just do in the moment to help down regulate our nervous system out of that fight or flight response if we are feeling like we're in survival mode during those tumultuous
That's,
times.
that's smart. And that makes sense to me. It's
Hmm.
very, I think you could be helpful to a lot of people. And what's nice is you don't have that mental health component. So people really are just going to focus on this issue. And then if there's other issues, they could deal with other issues. But this is a unique thing.
Absolutely. And the somatic, energetic, and meditative practices, the little breathwork micro practices that I help people learn, is really an avenue for them to actually heal themselves along the way.
Great.
And they can use these little tools anytime.
I want to thank you so much for your time and for
Oh,
doing what you have done. And if anyone listening wants to get a hold of you, what is the best way for them to find you?
yeah, they can find me on Meetup at the Narcissistic Abuse Survivors and Thrivers group.
Okay,
They can just Google my name, Raye Host, Rayehhost, and find me on LinkedIn as well under
perfect.
Raye Host. And the coaching company is called Lucid Coaching and Wellness. I don't know why my cat is so interested in me right now, but it's called Lucid Coaching and Wellness.
Wonderful,
Yeah.
wonderful. Well, thank you again. I really, really appreciate your time.
You are so welcome. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you asking me. And so grateful for all the work we've done together, Carrie. Thank you so
I
much.
I agree.
I hope you enjoyed the podcast. I'm Carri Goldring, and if you ever have any questions regarding mortgage, feel free to give me a call or send me a text message, 248-420-4524. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day.